to start creating these effects, again, we're going to use that 8.5 by 11 size document. If you weren't sure what that size was, you could always click your artboard, and actually my units are in inches, so this isn't displaying the information the way I'd like it to. So I'll go to preferences and units, change this to inches. Alright, now I should be able to see that's 8.5 by 11, or if you're, as you're starting your new document, make sure that you can change your units in here also. We're not going to do really any measuring today, but that's just going to conform the page to the right size. Alright, so I'm going to make a new artboard for mine because that way we can see the before and the after of what we're trying to accomplish here. Alright, so the first thing, we'll kind of go in order here. The first thing is the gradient mesh. Alright, so we're going to apply this to a circle. Alright, so I'm going to start with the ellipse tool, and I will kind of just make an ellipse or a circle. I'm holding the shift and the alt to make it start from the center. Alright, and then to apply the gradient, I'm going to come down to the bottom underneath my fill and stroke. If I select this little swatch here for gradient, alright, it applied, alright, so I'm applying this to my stroke, so that's why I'm not seeing anything happen here. If I reverse it so that I see the gradient is applied to the fill, now I can see that happening. Alright, what we also want to look and see is, if you notice that the gradient is applied in kind of a circular pattern there, I want to do that as well here. So if I open my gradient palette, I can change my type from linear, which means going left to right, to radial, which would be starting from the center and kind of expanding outward from there. The next thing is to now make this a little more detailed. Alright, so if we select this mesh tool, alright, which is right next to the gradient, we can come in here and we can add these extra points, right? They're kind of like anchors, like we use with the pen tool. And then if we go back with our direct selection, which is the white arrow, we can change the color to anything we want. And now you see that you have some color being introduced. And you know, the more of these points that you make, the more kind of coloring that you get. So you can kind of play around with that. Actually, I think what they did with theirs was the one with the shield. If I go back here a little bit, instead of adding those, or actually, I guess I'm still going to do that. So actually, by default, you get these ones that kind of show up in tangent lines. So now you kind of get some moon phase almost looking things. So that might be useful. Alright, and then let's just put a label over it so that we remember what this is. So this is our gradient mesh. Off center, make this a little bit bigger. I just thought it was a cool thing to do with that afterwards. Alright. Alright, so the other, I guess the problem here with the coloring is that it kind of changes this to, and you can't introduce your color. So I believe the shield lesson, what they did also was after making this circle, or this ellipse, and we apply our gradient, then they actually asked you, or you went to Object and Expand it to a gradient mesh, and now we can go in there and
That would make more sense.
click on these points. Now we can kind of go in there and you can add points if you want to, or you can just click on the different parts. gradient mesh. The other thing I think that we could do that'd be cool with this, we didn't really talk about any of the warp options. So to kind of a text effect, if we go to effect and then warp, you have a whole list of items here that you can do. So maybe we do something like, and it gives you a little bit of preview here of what it's going to do, as well as clicking the preview box. So you can kind of get some text that would be maybe proportional to that. So let's just write the word gradient mesh in a bulge, and so that was effect and warp. And then maybe I scale it to fit there. Effect and warp. All right, so that's going to give us this warp text, which I think fits in with this kind of sphere, which is kind of dimensional like that. What we'll do is our 3D text. So if we just type in the word 3D text, all right, I would use a font like Arial Black, so that you can, it doesn't get kind of messed up with the beveling. So Arial, Black, and if we increase our size here to maybe something like 30, like 40. Make sure that you do have a fill and a stroke color, because the stroke color is what's going to, the color of your extrusion as it's called. All right, so if I do black for that, and like I'll pick the same type of teal here. All right, so we start off with our 3D text just typed out. It's got a black fill, teal stroke, and then we're just going to go to Effect, 3D, and Extrude and Bevel. Again, you have a preview box, so you can kind of play around with the angle of it. Or you can actually move this cube too. This is interactive, this little cube, so that you can see, you know, what angle you want to place it at if you don't want to play around with all these rotation angles. And then your depth is down here. So if you wanted to make it really extruded far, which I don't think looks that great. All right, and that is our 3D text. We're continuing with text. The next thing we'll do is our drop shadow and our feather. So for those, all we're going to do is just type, I'll just type in those words. All right, if you get this happening where the box is kind of chopped off or the text doesn't fit, you should just have to extend that using the selection tool. All right, and for both of these, all we're going to do is select Effect, Stylize, and then Drop Shadow for the first case. You can change the color of your drop shadow, the offset, which would be the distance from it, how much it's blurring, so you can have it really noticeable or not. Right, and the opacity also in there. So that's our drop shadow, and then if I just copy this,